Ciao ragazzi, my name is Anthony. Welcome along to Football Worldwide. It's time for another Serie A roundtable. Tiny bit late this week, but thank you so much to the 9 people that have clicked the video. We're slowly growing on these live streams. I can feel it very slowly growing on these live streams. Thank you so much to who pretty much is my PIC partner in crime on this platform at the moment. Adam, bro, I love that shirt and I love that result on the weekend as well.
Thanks, mate. Yeah, look, probably could have got a little bit more out of it in the end, but if we had signed off, we would have signed off on 1-1 at the Stadio Diego Armando Maradona before the game. So look, it probably puts an end to Napoli's Scudetto hopes now as well, doesn't it? So I think the Scudetto is definitely staying in Milano. We just don't know which colour yet.
Yeah, well said, man. I think it is staying in the city of Milano. We'll just wait to see over the next couple of weeks what sort of results pour in. We're going to start with the Roma match as well. And if anybody is joining this dual stream on Inter Worldwide or Football Worldwide, let me know exactly which platform you're from in the live chat here. But very excited to start with this game. Exactly the sort of start that Napoli would have wanted, man. They get a penalty. Insigne slots it away. He does that thing which I know you're wondering why he's doing it now. How do you sign with a club like Toronto mid-season and go and kiss a badge as passionate as the Napolitano one at the Maradona in front of those fans, knowing too well that you're leaving at the end of the season? But a late goal for El Shaarawy cancels out Spalletti's Scudetto hopes, and he was that close to being on the cusp of what I think it was his first ever victory over Mourinho. Not meant to be. But for me personally, the highlight is seeing those two coaches and what looked to be friends, always in a very, very nice embrace. We also saw that really nice clip at the start of the year in the interview where he was like, grande Spallettone, grande, make sure you leave enough wins for the rest of us. You can sacrifice your first win against us next week if you want. But all fun and games, but back to the drawing board for Spalletti and co, just so they can wrap up Champions League nice and quickly. But what did you make of the game, man? And going forward for your boys, do you still feel as though there could be something late on in the season, Adam?
I don't think we'll catch Juve. I think that's I think Juve will finish in fourth place. If we had have won in Naples, I think we might have been having a different conversation. The thing is too that with Juve, we'll go on head to head, and they've got the wood over us as well. So even if we finish on little points, so it is 5 points at the moment, but realistically it is 6 points because we need to have that 1 point over them. And I think that's a bridge too far at the moment with only 5 games to play. So look, the game itself, I think it was quite entertaining, to be honest. Contentious, the penalty. I think it was definitely a penalty that the Ibanez fell on Lozano. He did make contact, one with his foot and 2 with his knee into the back of the hamstring. So I think that there was enough contact there to warrant the foul. I mean, he went down easily, but he doesn't these days. And then we didn't stop. So instead of sort of going into our shell a little bit, which we did in the early Mourinho days, we took the game to Napoli and tried to equalise as quickly as we could. And we had some really good chances in that first half, which Zalewski's been a really great play for us, a revelation, if you want to call it that, in the last few weeks. And I've spoken about him already, but it's so good to see someone from our youth setup, and we do it really well at Roma, I think, coming through the ranks and being given an opportunity. And then instead of only be given a couple of minutes here and there, he's actually been given a good opportunity to start a few games and then showing what he can actually do. So, I'm always hesitant to say that and to use the word potential, but because I think it's really dangerous with young players. But I think that he's really definitely one that we need to focus in on and keep around and pin our hopes on going for the future, because he's only 20. He's already a national player for Poland. So I think that it all bodes well for him moving forward. I think for the second week running in Serie A, this has been Mourinho's win in terms of the substitutions. He's made substitutions at exactly the right time, and those players that have come on have certainly made a difference. Coming off the back of the 2 games against Bordeaux, I thought that we'd fatigue at the end, so I wasn't really confident that we would be able to get the equaliser. I thought the odds were in favour of Napoli scoring a second, but we just keep pushing, and you're seeing the Mourinho coming through in his squad now, just that grit and determination and never giving attitude. And then after the El Shaarawy goal, we could have had another one. I mean, we kept pressing, and and put Napoli on the back foot, where side coming to Naples who are fighting for the Scudetto. It should have been the other way around. It didn't happen. So I'm really, really proud. And look, my overarching positive out of this game, I'm just really proud of that squad. It's not the greatest squad. I've said that before, but sometimes it's the teams that win aren't full of superstars. They're a really good collective, and I think I think the players that definitely need to be moved on, but I think the nucleus is there for now Mourinho to build into next season. And, like I've said this already a lot of times, that he needs to be given that opportunity. And I think that's where we're going with this now. And we're starting to see it. So, if semi-final of European competition, I know it's only the Conference League, but there's only three trophies that you can win in Europe. Out of all the clubs in Europe, we're in the semi-finals of one of them. And we're currently in 5th place. If we finish in 5th place, it's going to be a massive improvement on last season. So, to answer your question, Anth, I'm really, really excited about moving forward with Mourinho.
It's important to note that the caliber of clubs that are left in European football this time of the season, they're just as equally Champions League group stage clubs as they are clubs existing in the quarterfinals, semi-finals of the late stages of the Conference League. Run us through the teams who are left up, because in my just off the top of my head, it's you guys. Yeah. It's Rangers, it's Feyenoord Rotterdam. It was Sparta Braga up until a week ago. I'm not too sure if they're still in it. Like, these are all sides that they expect in their domestic league to qualify for the Champions League group stages.
Yeah. So we play Leicester in the semi-final. We play them in England first, which I think is a positive for us. And on the other side of the draw, we've got Feyenoord playing Marseille. So I believe Marseille will get through, and it's just a matter of whether we can beat Leicester or not. So it's not going to be easy to win regardless, because you front up against Leicester. We typically haven't got a good record against English teams, so don't know what's going to happen there. We'll see. But if we can get a result in England and then get them back in front of another full Olympico, I think that's where the result will. If we can pull a draw or a sneaker win in England, I think we'll go through. If it's a heavy defeat in England, I think we'll be pushing it uphill again, like we did, like against Liverpool. In Champions League semi, but we'll see.
Yeah, well said, man.
And then the final is in of all places in Tirana in Albania, which suits the competition, doesn't it?
It really does, man. It's bizarre how they do that a couple of times. I remember in the Europa League final, I think it was in Baku like 2 years ago or something like that. And I was just like, this is absolutely bizarre. Good comments in the chat as well. We got 16 people here for this video, which is definitely a new record for our Serie A Roundtable. Some good comments coming in as well. It says, what did you make of Mourinho's comments about the ref after the game? I'm going to stay with you, Adam, and on this game for as long as the fans want to keep interacting with it. So what did you make of Mourinho's post-match comments?
Good question, Ahmed, and it was really Mourinho-esque, wasn't it, to take the focus away of everything else and focus in on the refs. I particularly didn't think that Di Bello had that bad of a game. Mourinho mentioned two things. He mentioned Zanoli, the Napoli right back, not being given his marching orders. I think he was correct in the fact that he should have been given a yellow before he actually received his first yellow. There was a tackle that was a lot worse, I thought, than the one he was given the yellow for. So I agree with him there. I don't necessarily agree with Mourinho about the Zaniolo incident before Zaniolo went off with Medet. I don't think it was a penalty. I think, but then on the flip side of that, you think about if that foul had happened in the middle of the park, or that contest had happened in the middle of the park between two outfield players, would have Zaniolo been given the free kick? The answer to that's yes, right? So, but as we know, in football in general, goalkeepers are pretty much a protected species. Now, Medet, although Zaniolo got to the ball first, Medet saved the ball before he made contact with Zaniolo. So, because of that, I don't think it was a penalty. But like I said, if it was two outfield players, it would have been given a free kick to Zaniolo. But that's just football. That's what we've become accustomed to. We've already talked about the inconsistencies in refereeing, but Mourinho will push the envelope as far as he can. To then put pressure on the referees for the next game, and then the next game, and the next game. So, actually, I was trying to find this morning. I'm surprised that the Liga hasn't either fined him or suspended him yet for those comments. But I guess we'll wait and see going into this weekend, because I don't think that's too far away. Because I don't think he's going to get away with speaking about the referee and naming the referee and naming Di Paolo on the VAR as well without some sort of sanction.
Yeah, fair enough. And last comment on this game before I go to some of the other comments. We've got 16 people in the chat's pumping. A lot of hellos from very friendly faces, which I'll go to in a second. How good is it for Inter to play Roma without Zaniolo, or won't it matter as much? What's your quick opinion on that, Adam?
I don't think Zaniolo had a particularly great match. I think Koulibaly had him in his back pocket for most of it. Zaniolo, typically what he does when he's confronted with a double team or three players, he keeps his head down and doesn't see what's around him. And I think that's one flaw in his game. Although we know he's a fantastic player, power, pace, close ball control. He's got everything right. But one flaw in his game that I see is that he keeps his head down when he's dribbling. He's not aware of his surroundings. So sometimes he's got players in better positions and he goes alone. So that's one thing that he definitely needs to work on. And as a young player, he can do that, right? Look, I'm not too concerned, and I'll tell you why. The reason why I'm not too concerned going into the Inter game without him is because we played without him in the derby, and we absolutely annihilated Lazio. So if we can put together the same sort of lineup that we did against Lazio, I'm not saying we're going to go to San Siro and beat Inter, but I think we'll give a better showing than when the Inter came to Olimpico.
Yeah, well said, man. Let's go. I was about to say that as well, man. So I think you're going to see a different team come out near the Olimpico, and that went out against Napoli, against Inter as well. Just in terms of the approach in general, I expect Mourinho to be a little bit more conservative in both halves of the match, and know that even a point taken in that game is a point gained. I can see you in the chat phase. It's good to see you, Bruno, our friend, Benjamin Neal, who will be absolutely pumping after this morning's Coppa Italia result. Matt Pickham as well. Our friend Francesco says, no excuses, Adamo. Roma must win the conference. I think all of us are barracking for you, man, in Serie A. Absolutely everyone. Yeah, exactly right. What's going on? Mo and Akil, the boys from Inter Worldwide, are here. Ricky Buzz is in the house. Make sure you go and follow his channel as well. Good to see some people around. Good to see Cartel in the house as well. Bilan in the mud. Yeah, it wasn't a good morning for them at all. Let's go on to the couple of other games as well. And thank you so much, Adam, for joining me and everybody else. The Atalanta slump continues. Toon Koopmeiners is the only one that can put the ball in the back of the net for them at both ends at the moment. It's absolutely bizarre. He's having a great season. I felt sorry for the guy, but more importantly, Igor Tudor's Verona are picking up some sensational form in the back end of this season, man. I'm just going to quickly get the ladder up in the background as well while we go through this, because it's not too late for them to think that they can possibly push for a Conference League position as well, because if I'm not mistaken, 7th place gets it's 6th. It is 6th place. Yeah. So they're just going to end up falling short to a team
unless we win it, Anthony. So if Roma end up winning the Conference League, that means that 2 teams will go into the Europa League, which will be 5th place plus us. Okay. I don't know if that then opens up, or that will then open up 7th place. Yeah.
It will open up 7th place, but I'm looking at it now. I thought they were the same gap from Lazio as they were from Atalanta, but Atalanta have really, really thrown the season away, man. Verona are only 3 points away from Atalanta, but they're still 8 points away from 7th. So they won't be going to Europe at the end of this season, most likely, but picking up great form in the top half of the table now. What did you make of this one, bro, this result?
Yeah, you know what? Like for our international friends, Napoli-Roma was on at 3 a.m. On Tuesday morning. So I went to bed and got up for that. And then literally as soon as the game finished, like the final whistle went, and beIN Sports went straight to Atalanta Verona, which had already kicked off. So normally I'd have a bit of a nap between that game and work starting, but I ended up staying up and watching it all. I was that enthralled by the way Verona were playing that I just couldn't switch off. So I just found it astounding the way Verona did an Atalanta to Atalanta. I felt like their ball movement and positioning and the way they streamed forward just reminded me of Atalanta under Gasperini, like a year ago or 2 years ago. Remember when they had that run in the Champions League during COVID, and all the games I played in, I think it was Germany, wasn't it? All those games I played in Germany. That's what I felt like I was watching. So man, he hasn't got. I mean, there's some good players in that squad, right? But we're not talking about world beaters that you think, oh, they're going to go to Bergamo and just absolutely dominate Atalanta. And they did. So, I mean, Barak is a player that I think could make the step up into one of the teams in the top half, or at least in the top 6 at least. I think I've already mentioned the fact that he's the only player in Serie A to wear pantofoli d'oro football boots, which are the most old school football boots out there, which is massive respect for me for that. But they were just fantastic to watch. They just they just ran them off their feet. Atalanta looked so tired, didn't they, Anthony?
They look like they just don't want to be there anymore. And I think you remember when the Papu Gomez domino fell in the back room? I really feel like that was the catalyst for Gasperini losing the entire dressing room altogether, man.
Yeah.
There's no other explanation for it.
Unbelievable to watch. Simeone just works so hard. He's always in Italian they call it profondità, when the player is always on the edge of that offside line or playing off the shoulder of the last defender, and then once they were able to pin Atalanta back, he's literally playing on the goal line to either get these crosses in or stream it to the box from that angle to try and set up his teammates inside. And Caprati, man, Caprati's an ex-Roma youth player, so I know him quite well. And he's been around as well, was at Sampdoria, now he's there, and he's playing really well as well. Doing really well as a squad. And who's the keeper? What's his name? Montipo?
Musso for Atalanta. Oh, are you talking about Verona?
Talking about Verona, yeah.
I forget his name. Sorry.
Yeah. Montipo, who's reminding me of a young Musso and Cragno and another goalkeeper coming through. Italy's never had much trouble with their goalkeeping stocks, but it's good to see another young goalkeeper coming through and playing really well. So, yeah, credit to them, man. It was an awesome game to watch as well. So, bad luck to. I won't say bad luck because I don't really care, but and Gasperini, it was really good to see Gasperini's face in those last 5 minutes, complaining to the ref about wasting time.
Yeah, absolutely void of any common sense, man. Thanks, Cartel, for coming into the chat. We've got 18 people with us right now. This is a fantastic little chat. It's popping today. So thank you, everyone, for joining. If you are on any sort of interworldwide platform, because I can see how many of you are, make the jump across the football worldwide, please, and like and subscribe and keep this going. Dusan Vlahovic gets a goal in the dire stages of extra time. 2 red cards for Bologna, including a complete meltdown, or as Medel would probably call it, just him speaking normally, Gary Medel, but like a complete pit bull. And I know he receives a lot of hate, but at the end of the day, man, he just really hates Juve as well, which I can completely resonate with. That's not going to bother me, but alarm bells ringing in the Juventus back room. We've heard that there's a bit of a rift between Nedved and Allegri. Things are not going that well behind the scenes for Juve at the moment, and it looks like that they might just be able to pip you guys to 4th spot out of almost sheer default that the season is going. But alarm bells ringing at the moment, Adam.
Let the rifts continue. Yeah, the more rifts at Juve, the better.
For sure.
No, I think the game started on a bad note just by looking at this 4th kit. I don't know what's going on there with these layers upon layers upon layers, but anyway, Adidas have put out some really horrendous kits over the last couple of seasons. Conversation for another day, but look, I watched this game as well. Juve quite unlucky with the chances that they created and weren't able to capitalise on. I think they were obviously the dominant team throughout that game, and Bologna were just able to sneak a goal in that second half, which then put the pressure on them to come back and equalise. Would have they equalised if those 2 players hadn't been sent off? Probably, because they would have had the Bologna right pinned back in their own box anyway. But quite comical that exchange between Medel and the referee, wasn't it? Like 2 little bulldogs shouting at each other. One with the power to expel him from the field, and the other one to keep shouting. But yeah, look, a game that they were expected to win, a game that all Juventini, I'm sure, expected them to win. Didn't get weren't able to get the chocolates. But like I said, I think they'll finish 4th. I think they've got an easier run than any of the teams around them anyway. So I don't think there's any issue there. And I didn't see. Interestingly, I watched as soon as that final whistle went. I was watching it on Sky Calcio and just watched the reaction from the Juve players as they went off the field. They look all that concerned. Whether that's a care factor or whether they just know that they can't go up or down on that table. I think that most of them are already looking towards where they're heading off in the summer and which yacht they're going to be on and in which country. There's a little bit of and then all this Dybala thing as well, I think certainly playing a part. I look at him when he misses a chance and he looks like he really cares about. I just think, I'm seeing through him, and just realizing that he's on his way out, and it's really looks like a really dark place at the moment, doesn't it?
Not a good place. I like what Chicho says here to not discount Fiorentina, because Fiorentina still have a game in Florence in the last game of the season against Juve. So if Fiorentina can pick up more points than Juve between now and the back end of the season, they will have a genuine shot at beating them on the last day and leapfrogging them on the ladder. So we'll see what happens
there as well, Anthony. We also have to go to Firenze as well. So,
Fiorentina's got the toughest fixture list of anybody in Serie A, but everyone's banking on them getting 15 points from Udinese, Milan, Roma, Juve, and Samp as well.
Well, look, they'd have to go in the way they're playing. They'd have to go in favourites against us in Firenze. We'll talk about Italiano later and what he's done there, but. I was actually more scared going to Firenze than I was to Napoli for some reason. So, that says a lot about the way the fortress that Fiorentina have built at the Franchi.
Yeah, well said. I'm really excited to say that we've got 25 people with us on this video right now, which absolutely awesome. Make sure you like the video as well. Helps the channel, and subscribe if you are new. Let us know in the chat as well if you are new. Let's move on to the next fixture. Ciro Immobile and Lazio get a point against who is proving, as we've said week after week, to be probably the biggest pain in the culo outside any of the bigger sides of the big 5 or 6 this season in Ivan Juric's Torino. Torino had the lead for the majority of the game, but Lazio claw a point back to just make sure that they're not out of the discussion just yet for top 4, although in my opinion, besides Roma and Fiorentina, I really don't see them putting together the wins together, but still making sure that they're thereabouts. They'll finish in the top 7, and Sarri with a little bit of continuity going on to next campaign. Any comments or thoughts on these two teams, Adam?
No, what I will say though is, can you see the difference between when Roma play at home, the stands, and when Lazio play at home? There's a lot of empty blue seats when Lazio play at home, and you know what? It's not all the fans' fault. I saw the ticket prices for Lazio home games compared to Roma home games, and Lazio should really be ashamed of themselves.
Why is that, man? And how can they actually get away with that, knowing too well that it's transparent? People will kick up a stink about it.
That's right. Like, do you want to charge people 10? Like Roma for the Distinti, which is the corners of the ground, charge I think €10. And it's the equivalent ticket for a Lazio game at the moment, I think, is €30. So, what would you rather, fill the seats or have a 3/4 empty stadium, which looks terrible on TV? And that was matched by the game itself, Anthony. I thought this was a dire game to watch. And I flicked on the highlights yesterday, and the highlights package that goes for 3.5 minutes showed about 20 seconds of the first half. That's how bad the first half was. There was no highlight. It was just tit for tat type football where no one was able to penetrate and get into that box. So it was just a game of tennis, really. But that's all I really got to comment on this game. It wasn't the most aesthetically pleasing game to watch.
No, definitely wasn't. But moving on now, Fiorentina get 3 points again by beating Venezia, who really in the last 6 or 7 match days really have been the worst team in Serie A. They're 5 losses on the bounce as well. They are going to get relegated. They're not going to survive this one. They're 6 points away from Cagliari with a game in hand. I just don't see them winning any of their remaining games in hand unless they can win against Salernitana. When they do go to Salerno, they've also got a home game against Bologna and a home game against Cagliari, which we mentioned on this channel before. I think once it could be a really serious head-to-head on that last game of the season. But at the moment, just Venezia looking all void of ideas. It's just men versus boys whenever they play in Serie A. But Fiorentina, on the other hand, another 3 points, goal for Lucas Torreira. They're going to activate the 15 million obligation clause to bring him in from Arsenal, which is a really, really good deal for them. It's a real shitty deal for Arsenal, really. But well done to them. So, Adam, I'm not too sure if you've got any comments on Fiorentina or Venezia before we move on. Take it away.
No, just that Italiano again. He's done a revelation with his squad. We thought that they might regress when Vlahovic moved to Torino to Juve, but he's Cabral's come in and he's certainly doing the job. I won't say he's the same player that Vlahovic is, certainly not, but he's certainly been good for them since he's come into that side. So. Again, I'll say that I'm already thinking about that trip to Firenze, and not confident at all that we'll pull the result that we need. I just hope that Fiorentina drop points elsewhere because they're going to fight us for that fifth spot, I think. But are you comfortable, Anthony, now to say that the teams that are in that bottom three are there to stay now?
Yeah. Look, honestly, with Salernitana's win, it gave me a little bit they might be able to get 6 points from here to the end of the season, absolute top. So they're not going to survive. It's just a question of how many points Cagliari want to drop. But you can't sit there and say that Sampdoria are completely safe after the performance they tuned in on the weekend. To lose that game or to not get anything out of that game against Salernitana is an absolute disaster, to be honest, man.
Who does Venezia play for that game in hand?
Atalanta.
You know? Atalanta,
I'm pretty sure. In Venice, though, so you never know. They might fancy themselves at least getting a point out of it.
Yeah, I guess it will come down to that. Once the ladder has balanced up again with those games being played, I think we can then make a determination whether we think the bottom three are going to stay the bottom three. But, I don't know. I think Genoa and Salernitana definitely go on the way they're playing. But
for sure.
Yeah, interesting to see what happens between the bottom five.
Yeah, we're going to take a little bit of a break here. Adam and I'm going to go over to a couple of nice fan cams, one from Australia and one from my friend Frank Cravello, who is the host of the Serie A Sit Down. A big shout out to him and Richard Carmen, and thanks for having me as a guest on their awesome show last week. We'll actually start with Frank and then go over to our friend Marco. So all hands on deck for the Milanese boys. Grazie.
Ciao ragazzi, Frank Cravello here from the Serie A Sit Down. I want to say thank you to Anthony and everybody at Football Worldwide for inviting me to come on and give a recap of Milan-Genoa from Friday, April 15th. Milan won the match 2-0 to continue to stay top of Serie A, Inter having that game in hand, of course. It was a game that I would say was rather comfortably won by the Rossoneri, although it wasn't comfortable at the beginning. And the starting lineup was Davide Calabria on the right back position, but he ended up having some stomach trouble just shortly before kickoff. So Pierre Kalulu ended up deputizing at right back with Matteo Gabbia, partnering Tomori in the center of that defense. And it turned out to be a blessing in disguise because it was a wonderful cross by Kalulu that found Rafael Leao, who volleyed in with his left foot to put Milan in front by a 1-0. Milan would have several ventures going forward. Nothing that, looked terribly dangerous for Salvatore Sirigu. But that's been par for the course. Milan create a lot of chances, just nothing incredibly dangerous. And that's just been the form that they're in. They got a great performance, obviously, by Kalulu, but they got performances from Tomori and Maignan. And certainly that is what they have relied on up to this point, to get at least 1 point out of every league match and then hope that that goal comes here or there. The lack of creativity, though, definitely showing in this Milan team. But they would get a second Junior Messias after a cross after his first attempt was saved by Sirigu. He was there on the follow-up, made it 2-0. For Genoa, nothing of note, really, that one save that Mike Maignan was forced into, and I believe that was at some point in the second half. But a win that will calm the nerves of most Rossoneri supporters, myself included, that goals did come, that they're finding ways to get them. But still, in the long term, very concerning. Yes, Milan are doing a very good job of keeping teams out in league play of late. It is the other end where they have seemed to run out of ideas, and the lack of creativity might end up doing them in terms of the Scudetto push. We shall see what happens. But in this case, a 2-0 win, a relatively comfortable one at that over a Genoa side that looks more and more doomed for relegation with each passing week. And really, if Milan are going to win the title, they need to win games like this. And a reassuring performance for Rossoneri supporters around the world. You can check us out at Serie A Sit Down on Twitter or Instagram. Follow me at FTC_21. Also, Richard Carmen, our co-host, at R_KHARMAN. Signing off for now, this is Frank from Serie A Sit Down. Ciao.
Ciao, amici. Marco Villella here. It's great to be back to talk about Milan and our race to hopefully another Scudetto. But we'll wait and see. Again, still maintain my thoughts that Inter take it out from here, given their run home and also the fact they're finding form, and Milan continue their struggles in front of goal, albeit coming off a 2-0 win against Genoa, which I'm not sure exactly how long it's been, but I think it's been a little while since Milan have scored 2 goals. You could think back to 3 consecutive 1-0 wins and followed by 2 consecutive 0-0 results. So for Milan to score 2, albeit very unconvincing goals in a game, then I think that kind of shows our struggles a little bit moving forward. But let's see how we go. It's a very big week, I think, for both the Milanese clubs. We do have the Coppa Italia derby, I should say, this week on Thursday, and then from memory, I think they both play the Roman clubs on the weekend, which should be, blockbusters. Roma are certainly finding a lot of form under Mourinho, and if they have any hopes of finishing in the Champions League places, this is probably it for them. So I don't know, come out firing, although I do think Juve take out that 4th spot. And as for Lazio, a little bit up and down, but they certainly have been finding form of late. And I think Milinkovic-Savic is definitely returning back to the form that we saw him a couple of years ago when he had, release clause of over 100 million tied to his name by Lotito. So, lots of big matches ahead and lots of games to go, and it's getting very exciting, our title race. So for Milan, I think they just need to really get the attack going again. I think defense is now 7 games in a row, I believe, without conceding. I think I overheard something like over 500 minutes since Marc Mignon has conceded a goal, which is an incredible stat, considering, we're playing with Kalulu and Tomori as our centre backs. At the start of the season, that definitely probably weren't going to be our starters, or at least not Kalulu anyway. So very impressive at the back, but we're just lacking creativity at the moment, and things are very one-dimensional. So hopefully we can kick that into gear and close the season well, and ultimately just see where we finish. I think it's going to be tight to finish the season. So we'll see how we go. But that's it from me this week. Huge weeks. Oh, sorry. I did ask someone did ask if I wanted some predictions. I think
I'm only going to stop it there because we were meant to do this video yesterday before the Coppa Italia, all that sort of stuff. Coppa Italia happened this morning, so the rest is about Coppa Italia. Mike Maignan did go 500 minutes or something without conceding a goal. However, I wonder how that went for him this morning. He got absolutely pumped left, right, and center. It was a fantastic morning for Inter fans. And I knew Marco was going to slightly bring up the Coppa, so I've been waiting for this point in the video to bring it up. But we'll talk about that in a second. But a good 3 points here for Milan against a side who definitely looks like they are going to get relegated. Leao, an absolute revelation still. And I do still think that Milan will be able to grind out enough points to take Inter to match day 37-38. However, they do need to be cautious that their most important fortnight is coming up as well. They will be extremely fatigued after today, after losing 3-0. They will be a little bit on edge. They have to play Lazio in Rome, and then they have to play Fiorentina, and then they're away to Verona with Atalanta and Sassuolo after that. It's a really tough fixture list for them. If they come out of this season winning the Scudetto, all you'll see from me is a standing ovation, Adam, bro.
You just made the right point there, Anthony. I think the fact that they have to play Verona, who are in scintillating form, and they have to play Fiorentina, who are playing as good as Verona at the moment. I think that's where I might trip up. I can see them getting at least a point this weekend against Lazio. I think they match up really well against Lazio. But who knows? I mean, the way they're playing. Genoa had their chances in this game. Let's not discount Genoa. I mean, although that they never looked like winning, their finishing in the front third is what let them down. It's not like they didn't get around the back of Milan a few times or were able to expose gaps in their defence. They certainly did that. It's also the fact that they've got probably the best goalkeeper in Serie A at the moment between the posts that's also saving them. So, that they did get the 3 points, and it's all about getting the 3 points at the moment. But I wouldn't say that they absolutely dominated this game. So, look, we'll see what happens. We can't predict anything this season with Serie A, as we know. It's just match day to match day, and then we've got different opinions off the back of that.
Yeah, fair enough. Francesco says, Ant, that I'm finally accepting the Scudetto is staying with Inter. Bro, never until the maths makes sense. Until the maths completely tells me so, then I'll believe it, man. It's been too crazy of a season. Way too crazy. There's still too many games left. I've never felt like there's so much football to be played at this point of the season still to go. As we pretty much alluded on before, so there's no need to pretty much touch on this again, but this is the most disappointing result of the match day. You really think Sampdoria would have been able to kick themselves into gear for their home fans and just beat the team that's supposed to have absolutely no hope of staying up? Well, not only have they given them some slight hope, they've also just cast doubt upon themselves. Sampdoria need to get some points before the end of the season. Inter's got them in the last game of the season, actually, so I really hope they get some points quickly because I don't want to have to play them when they've got something to play for. Adam, just a quick comment on Sampdoria from you. Very, very disappointing. Next to Atalanta and probably Genoa, they have to go down as the disappointments of the campaign.
Yeah, and look, after I saw this result, I watched the highlights. I didn't watch the full match, but where to from here for Sampdoria in next season? Do they change manager again? They've got players like Caputo and Quagliarella who are on their last legs. I think it's now time that they need to see, show them the door and try and revitalise this squad with some younger players. The other thing for me is they've been missing probably their best player for the entire season in Damsgaard. Off the back of the Euro, I think we can definitely say that he's their best player. Unfortunate for him, and you really feel for the injury that he's had this season. But if they can get him back and build around him, then and they do stay up, of course, because there's still a chance for relegation. I think that they really need to revitalise that squad and get some younger talent in. Just a side note, because I'm wearing his shorts today, Federico Fazio, my ex-Roma boy, getting up with the goal. Interesting, I was on, there's a website called CharityStars.com where players donate their items to be auctioned off for charity, and I picked up a pair of Federico Fazio Roma training shorts once for like €24, and I'm wearing them as we speak. So good segue into reviewing his goal. He got on the score sheet quite early, so
it was a good goal too.
Yeah.
That's fantastic, man. Thanks for that. I didn't realize. Inter got the job done. I was really, really happy to see Lautaro get a goal off the back end of a Perisic cross. Also, just very good to see the entire team gel well for this particular game. Spezia aren't that easy to crack at home, but we were definitely expected to do the job. Made things a little hard at the end with a really good goal from Maggiore, I think it was. But Sanchez getting the winner just to assure us of the points. Another 3 points. This was meant to be a routine 3 points for me going forward, just to prove that the result against Juve was not a complete fluke and we didn't just back it up against a decent Verona team. We've got another win on the bounce. Now the tough fixtures will come at us hard. It's the worst time of the season to be playing you guys, but for some reason, man, and it must only be because of the previous outings that we've had with you this season, I'm confident that we might be able to get 3 points against you next week. This is going to be the thing that gets clipped out of this podcast when I'm wrong for next week. I know for sure I'll even show it in next week's show. But rather than talk about us beating Spezia, since I've got Adam here right now, let's just do a couple of minutes. Let's preview this next game, man. How do you think it's going to go? What do you think Mourinho is going to do to approach this? And do you think my boys are going to be able to roll you guys over, considering that we know 3 points here would propel us in the right direction?
I think that the first time we played you, Anthony, and also the Coppa Italia game, we hadn't resolved our defensive structure. I think that since then, evidence of that is the fact that we're still unbeaten in Serie A since that Juve game that we were 3-1 up and lost 4-3. And that was on the 9th of January. So I think defensively, we've certainly resolved a lot of issues in the way we transition back. as soon as we lose the ball. So in that respect, I don't think it's going to be a blowout like the other two games were, because we never looked like winning either of those games that we played against you. I think that will be, my prediction is we'll be in the game for longer periods than we did previously. Now, whether that means that we win or draw the game, I don't know. We'll see how the game pans out. And typically in a lot of these games, it's we're relying on, sometimes it's set pieces, sometimes it's not getting the rub of the green with the referee. All those factors combined determine the result. So we don't know. We can't predict that. What I can predict is that I think that we'll be more solid defensively than we've been against Inter this season. So that I can probably guarantee. What I can't guarantee is I can't go all out and say, oh yes, Roma's going to win this game, because I don't think we will. But I think it's going to be more of a contest. I don't think you're going to have it as easy as you have previously.
I definitely would agree, man. I think it's going to be a tough one. I don't think there's going to be any second-minute Dzeko goal or Dzeko masterclass, although it was good to see him eat time on the bench today, because I do want him against you guys as one of those players that where he's going to turn up a little bit bigger against you guys, even bigger against other opposition. So very good for us to get the 3 points. Very reassuring for me personally to know that come match day 37-38, we're either going to be within striking distance of Milan, or we might even be playing a point or two in front. But still plenty of football to play, still plenty of Serie A action to come. Surprise of the match day, despite the Salernitana result, was probably more so Walter Mazzarri's men getting 3 points against Sassuolo. Sassuolo don't need to play football for the rest of the season. They're cemented in those 9th, 10th, or 11th or 12th spots. They can't make Europe. They can't get anywhere near relegation. They'll be more than happy to just move forward. And I think that those 3 points for Cagliari are the ones that are going to convince them that they stand the best chance at survival, knowing now that Venezia's form is piss poor. As long as Cagliari can keep a 3-point buffer zone over Venezia until the rest of the campaign, they won't even need to play their last game of the season. Adam, just quickly, after all the shit we gave them at the start, it looks like Walter Mazzarri is going to get the Sardinians across the line.
I was on mute, sorry. And good on him too. We need characters like Mazzarri. As much as people dislike him, he adds a bit of value in terms of entertainment. So I was always hoping that he get him to stay up, and it looks like that might come to fruition. Didn't expect this result though against the Sassuolo team, who's Dionisio I think also has done a really good job with this squad. Yeah, good on them, man. Like they've just kept plugging away. They've played some terrible football this season, but yeah, they've been able to sort of snare a couple of results. Turned a lot of 3-pointers into 6-pointers because the teams around them are losing as well. So yeah, credit to them. Great to see. The ground in Cagliari basked in sunshine with a full crowd. It was fantastic. Yeah, it looks like they're going to do just enough to survive the drop. The other result, 4-1 result in that mid-table curve as well. Udinese absolutely smacking past Empoli, although the game was a little tight after Pinamonti clawed a goal back from the penalty spot in the 77th minute. But yeah, that's pretty much it for Udinese and Empoli this season anyway. Not too much to report on. And that's also going to be all that we have time for today on the Serie A Roundtable. It was actually a really awesome show. We got a high of 25 people in here, which is the most we've had on Football Worldwide for this particular show. I would really like to deeply thank my co-host Adam for taking time out of his day for joining me as well from Melbourne. Thank you once again, and I wish you all the best of luck in the worst possible way this week coming, man. You and I will chat offline, a lot during the week, and predictions, who's in and out of that side. But yeah, look, I was just looking forward to a good game. Always a pleasure, Anthony, to join you on the round table, and hopefully we get a full cast back next week. We can time it well and get all the other guys back on as well. So looking forward to discussing it again. Thanks a lot, Adam. Thanks for everybody joining. If you are new, make sure you subscribe to the channel as well, and we'll see you next week on the Serie A Roundtable here on Football World.